What's up, everybody? Welcome to the first ever Everyday Entrepreneur podcast. So this is part of our series for Hustle Lifestyle Secrets. It's one of my favorite series. It's something I've talked about doing for a very long time, Everyday Entrepreneur. Now, because our everyday entrepreneurs are super busy, I got to do this with a very special entrepreneur. This is a young man named Tom. I don't even know how to say his last name. It's like Araya or something. But Tom is actually a part of my video crew. He's fantastic. He's young. He's a hustler. He's the, Chilean Eminem. He's going to learn all sorts of things about him. But welcome, Tom. Let's do this fucking thing.
Thank you for having me.
I had no choice.
Oh, okay. I don't know how to react to that.
It's all good. All right, dude.
I don't know if I want to be in this podcast anymore.
You're already here. It's too late.
All right.
All right, cool. So we're going to start this off, and I think one of the things I'm going to do on this podcast is I'm going to keep the questions fairly consistent so that everyone can kind of get the same idea. The concept is for everybody to get a peek inside what the everyday entrepreneur's life looks like, what they're doing, how they're managing relationship, business, health, and everyone has their own way of doing it. That's at least what we've seen with different entrepreneurs. But there are general themes that apply to everyone. So even though everyone does it differently, there are general themes that you can pick up and you can take, and maybe you can apply to your life if you're in the same position as an entrepreneur. So Tom, maybe we can just start with, instead of starting with all your business and things like that, maybe you can start with like, what's the business you're in? How old are you? Like, what things you're going through right now?
So I'm 22 years old. I have a company called A Elements Brand. Right now we're focusing on short form content, which is vertical content for those who don't know. It goes as far as YouTube, Facebook Reels, Instagram Reels, TikTok, so on and so forth. And right now I'm exclusively working with entrepreneurs like yourself.
Yeah. So basically, like for people who don't know, vertical content is like the shit you see on TikTok. Like you scroll up, you see the feed, like that's what's on there. So Tom, how do you help people make that content? Like what do you do? What's the process look like?
Yeah, so we don't help them. I'm just kidding.
Awesome.
So we plan out, I have meetings with them.
Okay.
I get to know them. I get to know their mission, their goal with their own business.
Okay.
And essentially the goal is to leverage their personal brand for their business.
Okay.
So the bigger the audience they grab on their personal brand, they can leverage that audience and take them to the business.
Okay.
Essentially what we do. So I have a meeting with them. I get to know them. I get to know their vision, their mission, their goal. And then from there, I come up with creative ideas on what they should be posting, what content they should be making. I fly out to them. We record for 3 days. And then from there, we just chop out content. We just post consistently and we make sure that all the posts are strategically posted. So It's not just chop and post. So at all times, whenever a post goes up, we're monitoring it and making sure that what's working, what's not, and then we adjust really quickly.
So like 10,000 foot overview, you basically get to meet these clients, you get to know them, you get to know their business, their vision, their mission. You're then going to relay that via content, and then you're going to collect the data, make sure it's going out in the right way, the right time, so that the message is heard correct.
Correct.
Cool. So now, what's your goal with this business? You've got this 8 Elements Brand business. You're building it up. You're working with entrepreneurs right now. What's your goal? What are you trying to achieve with it?
Well, my goal is to incentivize people to create content. That's basically it.
Okay.
My goal is, I have a theory that everyone should document their life.
Yeah.
Everyone should document their life, whether it's video, picture, whatever you want, however you want to do it, even if it's written. But I think everyone should document their life, and I feel like entrepreneurs have really good stories. So the better they can put it out there, the better storytelling they have, the more known they can be, and the more the world knows about them.
Okay.
And I feel like everyone has a story interesting enough to where the world needs to know about it.
So you have this beautiful like client-centric mission, right? Like you've got this mission where you're like, hey, I want to help these people. I want to help them have impact. I want them to document their journey. They're going to get somewhere one day. That journey should be documented. I'm with it. What's your goal? Like, what do you want to see the business do in terms of numbers? What do you want to see the business do for your life? How does helping them help you in your way? Because I'm always a big fan of like win-win, and like that's how I've kind of run my business. How does your business growing help you in your life?
I've been doing like certain research, and in the business I'm in, usually there's a cap around 2.5 million. It's to where either you become a huge corporation and you start losing profits because you have all these employees and there's a lot to it, or you switch from doing the service, but you also add in an e-learning side to it, to where you can reach more people at a more accessible ticket. That's the vision as of right now. Essentially get to that point to where it caps. Unless I figure out why everyone is capping at 2.5.
Because they're all capping. Because none of them are at 2.5. Just kidding. No,
maybe.
jokes.
Maybe.
Jokes.
Yeah, so if I were to hit that point even before, if I figured out that you could go further than that with maintaining the same like profit margins and all that, then obviously continue doing this. But if I do end up reaching that cap, then essentially I want to switch to a e-learning side.
Yeah.
And also at the same time document my own life.
Here's the interesting thing that I didn't think about when I was a young entrepreneur is like, what do you want your life to look like? Like, what do you do on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis?
I always want to do this. I always want to be working in somewhat of the creative side. And I also always want to be producing content for myself too. So it'll never stop. As I learn, I can teach others.
But are you going to be doing that 24/7? Are you going to have kids? Are you going to have a family? Are you gonna have a house?
I want to have kids. I want to have a family. Yeah.
So are you going to spend most of your time with them? Or are you spend most of your time working, a couple hours with them?
Here's like the pros to what I do. As I live life, anything can be documented.
Okay.
So I could be spending time with my family and creating content at the same time. Obviously, there's a point, like there's limits to it.
It's also like the business portion, right? Like I think you can be a content creator and make content for life. Do you think that the business that you're talking about running can do both that and the content creation for life?
I think I can, but essentially I'm going to remove myself from the business. Essentially still be an owner and like obviously coordinate certain stuff, but there's a lot of people with way better talent than me that are more creative than me, and the goal is to find those people, hire them, and let them build up the business.
Cool. That's awesome. I mean, I totally dig what you're saying. So I'm going to kind of segue this. Like, what's your fitness goal right now?
Fitness goal. So we actually went through the numbers today on like levels at your
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
age.
So I had the numbers here. You want me to read them again?
Sure.
All right, the numbers to be elite. All right, I'm going to go over elite and advanced. So the numbers to be elite in fitness as a male in strength, you must bench 372 pounds, squat 483, and deadlift 550 pounds. If you want to be advanced, it's 280 pound bench, 380 pound squat, and 440 pound deadlift. These are the advanced and elite numbers. If you are not this, you are either a beginner, novice, or intermediate.
Yeah, so fitness goals, get to advanced first. Well, what's after beginner?
Novice.
Novice. So get to novice first, step by step. After novice, advanced, and then elite.
There's intermediate in the middle there.
Okay, intermediate.
So there.
So yeah, just basically go through all the steps.
Okay. So how are you managing both right now?
Well,
Full transparency, please.
I'm doing better with my nutrition.
Okay, that's good.
I've
You are doing better with
Yeah,
nutrition.
I've
I know
been
this.
tracking all my food. I've been
Okay.
hitting my goals.
You have been doing a lot better with that.
I haven't been working out too much.
Why is that?
I injured my neck. And
How-
I know you
how-
say...
how do you know you injured it?
Because every time I do something, like, it'll automatically start hurting.
So it's really interesting. Like this is something that I've learned being in the fitness industry, being an athlete for a long time. Like we have to be really careful with the words we use. I'm always careful with the word injury. I'll say I might have hurt it, I might have bothered it, I might have pinched it, whatever. Because to me, injury is a really longer term, more rehabilitation type thing. You might have hurt your neck and you might have tweaked it a certain way. If you really look at the time frame that you've done it, this is like I'm speaking for more context because we know each other and we've been training together. It's been about a week. And is that a bad thing? Like, should you train through pain? You shouldn't train through every pain, but there are certain pains that you could probably train through that won't hinder your results and probably won't hurt you that much either. For me, when you hurt your neck and things like that, the first thing that I always do is I look at like, what can I do from a mobility standpoint? And I'll watch every mobility video online. I'll reach out to a doctor. I'll go see a chiropractor. Obviously, you're way from your town. So this is actually where your business starts to impede you. Mm-hmm. So if you were back home, do you have somebody you could go to? Do you have a chiropractor? Do you have somebody who you could see for these things?
No.
So
like fun fact, even when I get sick, I never seek help. Like I don't go to the doctor. I just kind of like.
Do you think this is good advice for people to follow?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not. Do not be like me. Do not follow.
Why do you do it if you wouldn't give advice to other people to do that?
I guess I'm just pretty hard-headed.
Is it worthwhile?
Oh, absolutely not. I'm changing my ways.
There you go. See, I think, and this is like, I'll preface this for audience or people who are watching this as the first video, and if you're an entrepreneur who hops on this later, like, I think one of the promises I made to myself, even deciding to do this podcast, is I was not going to go easy on entrepreneurs, because I think there's already enough podcasts out there that like fluff up and bring up entrepreneurs. I want to question them. I want to ask them the real questions that people are actually curious about at home. Entrepreneurs aren't perfect. I've met a lot of entrepreneurs. You've met a lot of entrepreneurs. You know, none of them are perfect, including myself. Right? We all have our amazing flaws. But I think it's cool to like know what they are and know like which ones we're dealing with. I was actually going to ask you this next question. Okay, so what's the hardest part about managing both of these?
Managing what?
Managing your new business that you have and that your fitness and your life.
I feel like a lot of this is like personally
Yeah.
that I tend to do is take like my problems and stress from business into my personal life, and it impedes me. So sometimes I'm guilty for it.
Yeah.
But like if I'm having a bad day in business, I'll carry it on to my life. So I'll skip a workout or something.
It happens, man. It happens. I remember that all the time. I used to have like in the gym, if I had like a client cancel, like I would go buy a pizza and I'd just like be sad and just eat a pizza all night, you know?
Yeah.
I remember that. It sucks. It does. It's like kind of like you go through, like I feel like business, when bad shit happens, is like a mini heartbreak every day. It's like instead of like a long heartbreak, it's like a mini heartbreak. You get over it the next day, but then you're like, damn, that day you're just moping around.
Yeah.
You get better with it. Alex does like the whole like, you know, the 1,000-year veteran thing where it's like, just imagine if you had it 1,000 times over, would you be bothered by it? Probably wouldn't. I think that helps a lot. That's real, especially entrepreneurs when you're beginning or when people are first starting out. They're like, oh, it's gonna be fine. No, when you get that fucking like bad feeling day and you screwed something up, you feel that shit all day.
I think the good side to it, not to like the whole passing the stress over, is that I'm able to recognize when I do it.
Yeah.
And obviously, like personally, I'm not gonna switch from one day to another, but I'll start taking like slow steps
to get out,
to becoming better. Yeah,
that happens. That's good, man. I mean, I think that's it. Like, you just got to find the small things that'll get you back up, because you're not going to feel good, but you still got to do your personal things. I think this is the thing that a lot of entrepreneurs want to blame, like business, for not being able to be fit. It's not business. It's your ability to manage business and your capacity to manage it and life. And I think the better you get at it, the better you flow.
Right, and I think it all falls down to discipline too. Like I can admit that I haven't been like the most disciplined person. I think we both can agree on that.
How can you become more disciplined?
There's a lot of things I could do to become more disciplined.
How about
like
one thing?
Probably waking up earlier.
Okay.
I've been waking up pretty late.
How could you do that?
I go to sleep earlier.
So it's all comes. You know, it's funny. Like it's here we're sitting at like what is it now? 12:08. It's all good.
But it's necessary though. Sometimes it's necessary.
Sometimes in entrepreneurship it is. I'm with you. Sometimes it is. I think the more seasoned you get, and the better you get with the discipline, the better you get with managing the emotions and managing your fitness, easier it becomes to say no to things at night and like go to bed, because you realize the con of it is so much harder. I'm gonna move on to my next question because I want to make sure I get through all of these. What do you think is your greatest strength right now in entrepreneurship and life?
My greatest strength,
just one thing. What do you think the greatest one is?
I've always congratulated myself, because things get hard sometimes. Like things get pretty hard, and there's a lot of times where you feel like throwing in the towel, but I mean, yet to this day I haven't. So I'll give myself that one.
Yeah, that's good. Still in the arena.
Strength wise, I mean, I don't know.
You've been tenacious. I think that's what a lot of young entrepreneurs require. It's funny because like I'm really tenacious, but now what I require more is not being tenacious, but like being really diligent in what I'm doing and really focused, versus when I first started, I just need to be really tenacious and attack everything. Now I just need to be really focused and deliberate about the things I do. So I feel like it's changed for me. I was actually going to ask you, this is the next one. It's like, so this is going to be really helpful. I think this is a helpful question for everybody. What do you think is a problem that you think you'll deal with? Or maybe a problem that you're not worried about right now, but is probably something that you need to think about?
I think I have a ego problem, that I like doing things my way.
Well, you're an entrepreneur. It's a fucking sadistic
thing.
Like
even right now, like Joe was packing my stuff behind my back.
Yeah.
And I kind of got mad. I really kind of got mad. I was like, bro, like I'm doing it. Like I'll do it. I don't like when people do stuff for me.
I've seen entrepreneurs like that. I think there's different types of entrepreneurs. There's like reluctant entrepreneurs. There's like operational entrepreneurs. And I think that there's like a traditional entrepreneur. I think, or the business owner entrepreneur. I think there's like different segments of it. So I've seen that problem, like even in myself. Like it's interesting. Mine, like in the gym, I never ego lifted, but in business, I've ego like lifted and like tried to do things that were well beyond what I should be doing at that moment. I could see for yourself, like, right. Like you're like, hey, I like to do this. I'm going to do it my way. But you're also a creator. So like it's both good and bad. Like I think I heard somewhere that you kind of got to believe that you're better than everyone else, but also that you're
right. That's what I was gonna say as well. Like even though I want to do everything my way, I know there's sometimes where I have to sit down and listen.
Somebody said this. This is really funny. Entrepreneurs are like, oh, I need to do things my way, but then the second you have clients, like nothing's your way, because now you serve them and they pay you, so you're like, I got to do things your way.
I also heard that that most people think when you become an entrepreneur or your own boss that you don't have to respond to anyone, which is the complete opposite, because now you have clients, so you got to respond to everybody.
Yeah, clients, you got employees, you got like everybody that you have to now respond to. So now actually it's the exact opposite. You have way less freedom than you did before, where you could just zone out and say, oh, I'm good. It's terrible. But if you want to be an entrepreneur, It's not a bad idea. If you have something compelling to create. Cool. Tom, let's do this. So I've asked you all my questions. I'm pretty happy with them. I know that you're young, you're an entrepreneur. Like, what's your next step? What do you want to give the audience before you hop off here?
So next step is obviously scale.
What does that mean?
Business. Probably bring in another 10K on top of what I'm bringing in.
Cool.
Onboard another editor. And yeah, so I'm really a one step at a time person. So hit those goals and then see how that works out and go from there. See if it works. If it doesn't, then restart.
Awesome. So 3 months from now, we're going to do another podcast with Tom. We'll give you an update where he's at, what he's going, how fast he's scaled, and what problems he's dealing with now. And maybe he's a different man, different person. See you at that time. All right. That's the Everyday Entrepreneur podcast. Hope you guys found it valuable. Tom?
Did you still want me to you told me to give the audience something.
Oh, yeah. Maybe you can. Go ahead. Give it to him.
Okay, cool. So
you're going to clip this, right? Just kidding. Go ahead.
This is something I'm really, really big on. I don't believe in rights or wrongs in certain things. I'm not saying like if you go rob a store, no, you're completely in the wrong. But I'm talking about when you're as an entrepreneur, when like, should I do this or should I do this? Yeah. There's really no right answer, regardless like what answer you take or what decision you make. It comes with bottlenecks. It comes with obstacles. Yeah. So you're gonna learn your lesson regardless. And I wouldn't stress about it so much, just because like I mean the way I like to think about it is you have one life. I'm not gonna sit down and stress about if this was the right decision or not. My whole mentality is, all right, this is what I want to do. I'm gonna do it. If I make the mistake, cool, whatever. I'm not saying you should do this. You should probably be smarter than me, but I know there's a lot of people who have like that.
This is my favorite entrepreneur. All entrepreneurs do this. They always tell everyone else to be smarter than them. Yeah. They don't want to take their own advice. We want to give it to everybody else. But it's okay. So this is exactly why we're going to do this podcast over and over again with some of the same entrepreneurs, only because there are so many lessons that are learned throughout entrepreneurship. Tons and tons and tons. Tons that I've learned, tons that I've learned from other people. Tom's learned some already. He's going to learn some more with his experience. He's mentioned that there is no right or wrong. There's a right and a right. And there's probably one more right way, or both ways come with some pros or cons, and you've got to deal with that. So at the end of the day, figure out what your two rights are, what pros and cons they come with, and make your decision. And Tom said life's short, so deal with them. Cool. All right, guys, keep hustling. This is the Everyday Entrepreneur Podcast. We'll catch back with Tom in another 3 months. Till then, peace out.